people say that Confederates denied Lincoln's legitimacy as president, but whenever Jefferson Davis referenced Lincoln, he always made sure to say President Lincoln. Does that show they believed Lincoln was a legitimate president?
While it's true that Jefferson Davis referred to Abraham Lincoln as President Lincoln, this alone doesn't necessarily mean that the Confederacy as a whole recognized Lincoln's legitimacy as president. It's worth noting that Davis was a former U.S. Senator and a West Point graduate, and he was well aware of the formalities and protocol involved in acknowledging the office of the presidency. Additionally, acknowledging Lincoln's status as president was likely a practical necessity for Davis in his diplomatic dealings with foreign governments and in his interactions with other leaders in the U.S. government. That being said, it's also true that many Confederates disputed Lincoln's legitimacy as president and rejected his authority over the seceded states. They believed that their states had the right to secede from the Union, and they saw Lincoln's efforts to preserve the Union as a violation of states' rights. As a result, they refused to recognize Lincoln as a legitimate president and instead saw him as a usurper of power. So, while Davis may have acknowledged Lincoln as president, many in the Confederacy did not.
There does seem to be a difference between believing the nation no longer represents you and believing the election was rigged.
Yes, that's correct. Confronting the legitimacy of an election and seceding from a nation are two distinct actions. During the American Civil War, Confederate leaders, including Jefferson Davis, may have recognized Abraham Lincoln as the President of the United States, but they still believed that their states had the right to secede from the Union. The issue of the legitimacy of Lincoln's election was one of the main causes of the American Civil War, with the Southern states feeling that the election of a Republican president who was against the spread of slavery was a threat to their way of life. Nevertheless, the Union Army fought to preserve the United States as a single nation, and Lincoln's election was ultimately accepted as legitimate by the end of the war.